Honestly, up until about 20 minutes ago, I questioned if I even really wanted to continue this channel. But I've learned a lot of lessons and I've talked myself into continuing the process. If you'll stick around, I'll share those insights with you. So there's a few reasons I got into creating a YouTube channel. I work in internal communications and I read a lot of books on marketing, messaging, and I wanted to be able to create an inventory for some of the lessons that I learned. Another reason I started is because I wanted to grow a community. I wanted people to come along for the ride and share ideas so that we could grow together. Now, the majority of those reasons are selfish. I had myself in mind when I created the YouTube channel. But here's the thing, if you start posting content with yourself in mind, you're gonna be the only one watching it. And that's a hard lesson that I had to learn early on. I also wanted to get into video editing. So I wanted to make sure the production quality was just right. I went out and got a nice camera, I set up some nice lighting, and I wanted to have like a studio feel. But what I've learned is that content beats production quality when it comes to YouTube. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube and the production quality is not that great, but what they do have is the content. And that's what has people coming back. So another lesson I would take away from this experience is when you're starting out, especially in like the first 90 days, focus more on your content instead of production quality. Then comes YouTube metrics. I was dwelling on these views, likes, how many subscribers I had. I was opening the YouTube Studio app like 4 times a day, and that does nothing for you. It's kind of like planting a seed and then going back throughout the day to see if it's grown. It hasn't. It's not gonna grow for weeks. My next lesson that I've learned is to put down the analytics. You are gonna wanna look at those things to see which content is working better, which videos your audience is responding to more, but don't dwell on the YouTube analytics, especially not for the first 90 days. In fact, I would suggest only looking at those analytics once a week at most. When I started out, I wanted to create 52 videos in a year, 1 per week. But life gets in the way, and there's a lot that goes into planning a YouTube video. You have to plan the script or your outline. You have to make sure that you're able to create thumbnails that drive click-through rates, create very good detailed descriptions, and you have to make sure editing's good because you don't want it to look choppy, you want it to look clean. About a week and a half ago, we got a new puppy dog. And this puppy is adorable, but it's loud. It doesn't allow me to record videos because it's so loud. It's always wanting to be in my lap. It's adorable. I love the dog, but it gets in the way. And that's where I started to consider actually abandoning this channel because I was like, is this just not the right time in my life? Kids are getting busy with school activities. I've got a daughter that's graduating high school. We've got the new puppy. Maybe this just isn't the right time for this project. Then I read the book, The War on Art. And in that book, they talk about the resistance. And anything you do that has any purpose is gonna have some resistance. That may come in the way of like a busy schedule. It may mean that you've got everything in place to do what you're wanting to accomplish and then you get sick. You have to overcome the resistance. You have to fight these battles on the war of art on a daily basis. And that may mean recording your video at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's the only time that it's quiet and everybody's asleep. It really boils down to how bad you want it. And if you are gonna create art, you need to be ready for the resistance because the second you start creating something is when you're gonna start seeing these obstacles come in the way. And that's another lesson that I've learned. When you have something that's important to you, make it a priority. Make sure that you are prepared to work some late nights on it, lose some sleep, but make it something that you really want to get done if it brings you joy. And creating these videos really does bring me joy. I love creating them. I love researching the topics, writing the scripts, and editing the videos. So with that, I am going to continue creating these videos. However, I am gonna make some simple tweaks. And for starters, I think that the topics that I cover need to be focused less on book reviews and more on real practical insights that I can give for communicating better. Yes, I'm an internal communications professional, but not everybody is. But you know what everybody does do? They communicate. And right now, I think we're at a point where everybody needs more communication. We need to be able to talk to strangers. We need to learn how to disagree. We need to learn how to overcome certain objections critically and constructively. So for the next few topics, I'm going to be focusing on personal and interpersonal communications. I want to make sure that I'm creating content that helps build people together and create stronger relationships. So I hope you'll join me because I look forward to creating more communications content and not in like internal communications, but more so how to communicate with other people. And we might sneak in a few tips for workplace communications as well.